Hi everybody. So Angela, hello to everybody here who is watching this video. I hope you're doing really well. So I'm coming back on with a little video now about Mercury retrogrades, because I do think there is a bit of an urban myth in pedestrianised astrology about, oh no, it's a Mercury retrograde, everything's going to go wrong. So as always, I like to bring teaching to my videos, which is timeless, to help you to move forward, to help you learn, to help you grow within your own life, but most importantly, to feel empowered. So what's really important to remember with a Mercury retrograde, and I will go into the ins and outs of it, is that it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. So if you see it like that, you know, we're all part of this cosmos, as above, so below, which in metaphysics means what happens in the macro, which is out there in the world, happens on a micro level. What happens in the whole happens in one. What happens in one happens in the whole. So Mercury, the planet of communication, of travel, of how it symbolises in astrology, in our natal placement, in our own chart, and we all have placements in all these different planets, in different signs. So that will highlight for you how you think about possibilities. It's very indicative of your opinions and your reasoning. And this is, of course, without thinking about maybe our socialization processes and maybe our programming from our ancestral line and things like that. So we're not including that here. We're talking about you as a divine soul. It's about, I think it's how you organize, how you strategize. It's to do with the mind. Mercury is linked to thinking. It rules Virgo and Gemini. Have I got that right? Yeah, Virgo and Gemini in the astrological signs. Anybody that knows anybody with a lot of Virgo or Gemini placements will know that they are naturally deep thinkers, but they will mull over things in their thoughts and go over and over and over again, which means that they can be great problem solvers, but they can also, if they get stuck in that energy, like we all can, in our own respective archetypal signs of our own natal chart, that they can actually find themselves overthinking and not trusting that, you know, their instincts. So they say the core of Mercury is full of iron, so it all links to metal energy, which for me is a nod to the swords in the tarot. So the sword suit, the air element, how we think. The planet is organically with water and ice, water. It's the closest planet to the sun. It does, apart from the moon, it does one of the quickest cycles around the sun. It's how we communicate, it's our intellect, it's our reasoning. I think it's how we strategize in life. And in Greek mythology, it's known as the messenger of the gods. So moving on to this Mercury retrograde, this is why I'm doing this video, because we have a Mercury retrograde. It's already started, we're already in the shadow period, which is the precursor. It's like the prep time before the planet goes backwards, seemingly backwards in the sky. So it's in a transit where it's going back into a sign, a previous sign. So Mercury is currently in the sign of Aquarius, and it's approaching up to 10 degrees of Aquarius at the moment, and it will be retrograding over a period of 3 weeks back into the sign of Capricorn. So I'm going to give you some dates, and I'm also going to go through some of the archetypes of what Aquarius and Capricorn mean, because this is more for a collective read. Now, where it gets really interesting with astrology, and everybody loves to know more about themselves. When you go through any form of learning, self-inquiry, and you're uncovering things about yourself you didn't know before, it's very enlightening. But it's also quite empowering, because you can see a lot of the time why you are the way that you are. And I really think that astrology is a science. I know a lot of people think it's quackery, But I think that's because it's almost like an ignorance. They've never, I mean, a lot of people don't understand it and can't grasp it. I've always been able to grasp it since a young child, and I don't know why. I think it's a past life thing. But I'm also fascinated by it because it's so interesting. It helps me to learn why people are the way that they are. Of course, it never excuses bad behaviour. I don't think anybody's born evil. However, it can influence some of the choices that we make. And by learning about your own astrology, it can also show you where you have the power to change anything in your chart. Nothing is set in stone. So let's start with what we mean by a retrograde. So a retrograde cycle, in the short and curlies of it, is that my job here is to break it down for you. So I think that it is interesting, and to teach you, so that maybe it might spark a bit of interest, but also it gives you a different perspective. And I think this is the year where we're being called to think a little bit outside the box, but also to be very flexible in our thinking, in our processes. You know, it's a 6 year, it's about relating, it's how we relate to other people, it's how we form relationships. 6 is the number of love. It's looking at, you know, love. I think forgiveness goes in hand with love, and you know, it's not always difficult to do, especially when somebody's really, really hurt you. But if we dig a little bit deeper and we look at the bigger picture, we can actually start to see where maybe that person might have done what they did and why we did what we did. It's not always the answer, and it won't always heal relationships, because I do believe that you do need both people's participation. We can't control another person's human free will. But like the planet Mercury, and where Mercury is in your chart, it's a great way to see also how you learn. So I've got Mercury in Taurus and I've got Sun in Taurus. So for me, learning is a very happy experience. I get a lot of, so my Sun, it lights me up to learn something new. Also, I'm a bit slow and steady wins the race. So Taurus will not be rushed. It won't be pushed. I might appear to not really be grasping things. And I had this week where I was in a shop and I was trying to ask a lady a question about applying for something. I think it was like either for a renewal of a passport or something like this. And I was asking her about all the electronic processes, and she was just, it wasn't, the communication was a bit difficult because I was in this place and she couldn't see what I was saying. There was a big glass thing in the way, you know, a block to communication, because a lot of the time we read the non-verbal clues. Anyway, I just think as well there was a lot of other things. She wasn't, I think she's a bit tired as well, which is understandable, working in the public, you know, customer facing. And actually another lady intercepted and helped because she understood what the question was, and this lady just wasn't grasping it. And I think she thought I was a bit not with it. But the thing about Taurus is, once it builds momentum, it's there for the long haul. So it once it gets something, that's it. It's like, once it's in there for me, I'll really ground it and I'll really figure it out. Anyway, so if you know where your natal Mercury is, that's helpful. But also what's interesting to know with these retrograde cycles, so they tend to be about 3 or 4 different times during 1 year, and they'll last for about 3 weeks at a time. And when you read a lot of the pedestrianised written information about, or what people share about Mercury retrogrades, is it's, oh, you know, don't do this and don't do that, and it's all a bit quite fear-mongering. But what I would suggest to you with a Mercury retrograde is it's a period of enlightenment, to review mentally what you are thinking about, where you are heading, what your possibilities are. Maybe I always see it as a time for upgrade, review, renew. Return is to go back over and reclaim something, to regain something. It's all the re's. So remember, it's not happening to you like victim going into survivor. It's happening for you, student, and being a thriver. That's what Spirit gave me before. I will pull some cards on this as well, guys. So this retrograde in Aquarius, so this is starting tomorrow. So we've already had the shadow period. So the shadow period can be up to 2 weeks before and after the Mercury retrograde. So I'm not going to go into why and what signs, but in a nutshell, what it is it's the prep, and then it's at the start, and then obviously the planet goes retrograde, we learn something, and then we get to integrate it into our lives. Now, of course, if this is meaning gobbledygook for you and you've got no interest, that's absolutely fine with me. As I always say with my teaching, I'm never here to convert people. People will come, they'll walk towards you, or they will want to learn something because they'll have that natural organic pull, or through a painful experience they'll be asking questions and they'll want to know to help themselves heal. So if we look at this Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, so the sign before Aquarius is Capricorn. So tomorrow Mercury will be stationary, it will start to move backwards in the sky over these 3 weeks, and it will go right back into up to 24 degrees of Capricorn. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a tip here with a Mercury retrograde, and it's always after it, people are like, oh, but I think we need to look at it a little bit differently. And yes, there can be times where a lot of information gets dragged back up collectively. I mean, we're seeing it at the moment, aren't we, with the collective shadow? There's so much being revealed out there that we need to see. We can't hide under the covers anymore about what's going on in our world. We ask for change. We want change. We want to heal. We want inclusivity. We want a progressive society. But that also means looking at some of where we've stayed conservative and we don't want to upset the apple cart. Change and transformation. I've always said this is quite chaotic. So we've got two very different energies here. So if we think about Aquarius, so we're starting off in this energy of Mercury in Aquarius. So it's an air planet in an air sign. So there's some affinity there in the elements. So Aquarius is all to do with, this is the astrology sign now, originality, it's eccentric, it's freedom loving, it's about radical expression, it's innovative, it's about new insights, it's also about epiphanies. Remember, I've said that word epiphanies because that's going to come in very much so. And it's also a masculine sign, so it's about action, it's about taking action, it's about getting on with it. And it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is an earth sign, which is, it's about future security, it's about responsibility, it's about success, recognition, authority figures, the father, releasing control tendencies, it's about our public image, it's about hard work, social status, it's about being in charge and having respect, recognition, tradition and reputation. So you can see there's a little bit of the progressive versus the conservative, the push-pull going on. But we're going back into Capricorn to see something. And what's interesting is, so bear with me on this because it can sometimes get complicated, is we're also going through a Venus retrograde in Capricorn. So we're looking at the energy of Capricorn and how we relate. I talked about this again in another video, but also what's interesting is Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, has been in Capricorn for many, many years. And on the 30th of January, these signs are going to meet in Capricorn. So the midpoint, which is you've got your shadow build up 2 weeks before and your shadow integration period 2 weeks after. So this is 2 weeks before the planet goes stationary and then 2 weeks after the planet has moved. Okay, so that would be 2 weeks before the 14th of Jan and 2 weeks before after the 3rd of February. So what bang in the middle of all of this, of this cycle, Now, I think that could be 10, 11 days in, but I would probably say from the 18th of January, we've got Uranus in Taurus moving forward. Now, Uranus rules Aquarius, so this is its natural home. It's in Taurus, which is quite fixed, and no, I want to stay with tried and tested ways and means, which is great, like Capricorn. Sometimes that's what we need to do. We need to stick with it. We don't need to rush. Aquarius brings in the epiphany energy. So, but it's going to be in the area of Taurus. So Uranus has been retrograding by about 4 degrees in Uranus for the last few months. So we've gone through this retrograde period. I can't remember actually, I haven't looked at it, but I think it's since last year. So all of a sudden, Uranus, the planet of shock, surprise, almost kind of can be, I won't say trickster energy. Mercury's got that energy as well. It's like got that earth, or I'm just going to, I'm going to bring something out of the hat and surprise you. And this is going to be in the area of Taurus, but we're going to hear about it because we're going through this Mercury retrograde period. So as we go over this, we're learning something in Aquarius. We're moving forward in Aquarius, but we still need to go over the Capricorn areas and review them. Is there anything that we can take from this Mercury in Capricorn cycle, these areas of Capricorn that it rules? Now, if you know which house this is in your natal chart, you can actually look at where this is happening for you on the micro, and it's really interesting when you look at this. So what you'll find is at the midpoint, this is when information gets revealed to you. So I'm going to say a couple of things that I've been really picking up the last couple of days, which they're not astrologically linked. They're what I got intuitively, but I mean, they probably could be. They usually are when I look back on it. So what Spirit said to me is that, January, a lot of us felt this massive influx of hit the ground running energy, but we've not been guided to hit the ground running and, push. We're being guided to rest and welcome in the year slowly, because we know that it's almost like conserving our energy for what's to come. But there is this energy that I'm really sensing collectively for a lot of people about things coming in really fast. And I think it's this Uranus in Taurus energy, because I didn't know, this is before I looked at any of the transits this morning, but this is about 2 days ago. I could feel this. You're going to get this intuitive hit to move, to make a change. Now, for different people, it's going to be different things. For some people, it's going to be to move, to change your life, because Uranus in Taurus Taurus is very much about, it rules things like banking, a shifting economy. That's what this Uranus in Taurus is, the economy shifting, moving forward. How that, but it is to do with, it does rule banking, Taurus. It's about like our finances. It's about our security. I should know the area of Taurus because I've got a few planets in Taurus, but it's very much to do with how we build solid foundations. It's about sensual pleasure as well. It's about perseverance and patience, self-worth. It's about trying not to be stubborn. It's ownership. It can be material comforts as well. It's about having patience and thoroughness, not skipping over the details, but it's also about having strong values and being being aware of what your personal needs are. So again, if you plot out where all these planets are in these signs on your physical chart, it will tell you where you're being activated in what houses. So your first house is self and spirit. Your second house is your possessions and what you earn. It's also about self-worth. Your third house is about communications. It's like siblings. Fourth house is home and family, and so forth. We go like 12 houses around the wheel. Right, I'm just going to get a little bit of water. But this general messages that I've been getting is that there's going to be some sudden movements for people, and Spirit is saying, look, this is always going to be guidance. You could just not act on any of it and still get your intuitive hits. And what will happen with each person, if that was the case, I don't know. I can't really go in there unless I'm doing a personal reading for somebody. But there's this energy of you will be asked to move. You'll be guided to move quickly, methodically. Also, I'm hearing that for some people, again, it's a change of assignment. You're going to be moved, light workers are going to be moved into physical geographical locations. Their assignment has come to an end where they were. Now, again, this can be metaphorically symbolic of different things. This message. So on the ground, it could be that your work is evolving with your clients, your clientele is changing. So you might be guided to put up your prices to attract a different clientele. Now, whether you think that's controversial or not, I don't know. But I know many people working in the healing arts, including myself, we've not put our prices up for years. And Spirit might guide you to do that, your intuition and your guides. For some people, it will be a physical move, a geographical location, which has been precipitated by a lot of these mandates that are going on in the world. It's actually guiding people to move. They might feel at the moment that it's being forced upon them, which I understand, and it's not what you want, but you will get provided for. I'm a massive believer of that, and it's interesting because the dreams coming true is actually on the bottom of my cards. I'm also, and I really want to say this not as a disclaimer, but as a statement, is that when you tune in, what I've always seen and what Spirit always give me is the best outcome for people. Whether they take that or not is up to them. But what it is it's almost like Spirit will say leap and we will catch you. But the thing is, you sometimes leap and you don't know you don't get the full picture before you leap. And it's often I wouldn't say a mistake, it's an oversight that people don't understand. They want everything in the physical proven to them before they'll take the risk. And it doesn't work that way in metaphysics. And so this is where the trust and faith comes in, but this is where they were saying for years about trusting your intuition. So I think there's a few messages here around, these lightning bolts are going to come in for people, and they're going to be saying, right, and you might have felt like, oh, I'm here and I'm settled, and then all of a sudden there's a slight upheaval, like the Tower moment, and it's like, oh my God, where did this come out from? But what Spirit is saying to me to say to you is that your soul is ready. Your soul has asked for this. This is part of your soul contract being activated in a different area, and it is bringing you what you've asked for, but it's bringing it in a method and a way that you didn't expect. And I don't know why I think this message is quite important. And again, this can be in any area of life, guys. It could be, and we've got a full moon as well. Oh wow, I'm just realizing now, they're reminding me there's a full moon. I'm sure it's on the 18th of the 18th of January. It's a full moon in Cancer, which is always a very emotional moon. They're just saying to me it's going to be very different for everybody. That could be like the nod to the closing of the chapter. So you've got the 18th, these energies coming in, and then they're being activated in your chart, and then literally this midpoint, which would probably be around the 24th to the 25th, more information being revealed to you. So please don't panic if you can't see things, because if you are on this path, walking this path with spirit and you're very tuned into your soul will just, if you tune into your higher self, which is your soul, it will just say to you, it's on the way. It's on the way. And actually, I think it takes a very wise one to automatically be doing what they know they need to do, but they don't know why they're doing it, because a lot of the time it bypasses the mind. So what they're saying is, with this Mercury retrograde period, the information will come afterwards, but the knowing is already there. So right, more water. And it's interesting because they're just showing me here something that I wrote down, which is to do with Aquarius. So on the 3rd of February, when Mercury, it's gone all the way back to Capricorn, so it will be at 24 degrees of Capricorn. And then on the 30th of January, the 30th of January, the Mercury retrograde will meet with Pluto in Capricorn. So it's going to be interesting around this period, what's going to come to light. But not only like for you, but on the world stage, what's going to play out here. Because Capricorn is about people in positions of power. It's, it's the authority. It's the, who's the authority? Capricorn, the authority, or Aquarius, freedom-loving Aquarius. I'm going to do what's right for me. I'm going to seek an outcome that's good for everyone involved. That's Aquarius in its enlightened state. It's identification with humankind. It's interest in others. It's operating from a larger world view. It's also to do with new trends and unconventional approaches, and it's following your heart's desire. But also, it's brilliance and it's understanding how things work. But Aquarius also rules friendships as well, so there could be changes around that for people, especially with this Venus retrograde, how we relate. Because I know it says, they were saying about with Mercury, and then I got the message about how we communicate, but how we relate is Venus. It's how we relate. Right, okay. So now I'm going to pull some cards. I'm going to ask about this Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, and I'm just going to ask Spirit, what messages have you got for us on this? I've been doing a few cards this morning. I've really been enjoying tuning into the energy. It's like, for me, it's real peace of mind. So this is the Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. Right, so they want me to talk about this first. Right, so this is the order that the cards came out. So miracle healing, be honest with yourself. So this is very much just about your, what your intuition is telling you. Letting go and stand your ground. So I'll just tell you how these cards read to me. They might read a different way to you. So this is saying that healing and coming together, which is very much like Aquarius's goal. Coming together collectively. Again, this is like, like a healing the world, it's reaching out, okay, even to others that have a different opinion to yours, okay, which we're seeing a lot of. It's almost like we know what this is about. So these are areas of, where it's contentious at best, is we have to learn to let go of these rigid ideas that we may have had. And this is what this Capricorn, going back into Capricorn, it's like going in the mercurial, the mind, and looking at in the past, going back over this area to let it go, and also reviewing it where maybe we could have been quite fixed in our opinions and our beliefs in our mind. Well, it has to be black and white thinking, which we all know black and white thinking is always our undoing at the end of the day, because as we evolve and as we get older, and hopefully wiser, our thoughts and our programming can change. And also, this is an upgrade of the mind. A Mercury retrograde is an upgrade in our programming and what we think. as we learn, we integrate our new thoughts and our ideas. And again, Aquarius rules innovation. So to innovate, we have to sometimes really be willing to be a bit out there. We have to, innovation is about seeing things before that we didn't see before. And standing your ground is like, again, it's like that's like my Saint Bridget card in this deck. So it's about that, you know, you are protected and you are safe and no one can do you any harm. It's okay to say, like, I don't agree with you. It's okay to say, look, you know, I thought that once, but now I've changed my mind. You're allowed to give yourself permission to do that. And if you don't, where does that come from? Where does that originate? Is that a decision you've made internally yourself? And almost like a contractual agreement that you've bound yourself to that you need to unbound yourself from? Or is it something that you've just inherited that you think, well, it's just deeply subconscious? You know, have we got so stuck in the mud about what we believe in? I'm not really holding up these cards very well, am I? You know, this rigid, stand your ground is, you know, these are all great cards, but this is how I'm being shown to explain them to you, is that, is it traditional, the Capricorn, is it traditional, like, you know, does it affect my social status if I say something else? And Aquarius really doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks. Aquarius is going, hey, I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to give you an unexpected result. But are you willing to be innovative? Are you willing to support freedom? Are you willing to have a revitalized experience? Are you willing to be objective, seeking knowledge? And also what's lovely is Aquarius rules like tools of divination, so astrology and numerology. And it's interesting because one of the next videos I'm going to do is I'm going to do the numerology, and I'm going to do some astrology tuning for all of us for 2022. Not as a little surprise, but I wanted to do it as another part of my collective read for 2022, just for a more of a micro, personalised read. But also these are tools that we could be utilising to move forward in not only learning about ourselves, to release mind-based thinking that holds us back, which is that's got us a bit stuck, and using different methods. Hope that makes sense. Anything else around this Mercury retrograde in Aquarius and Capricorn, Spirit, whatever you want to bring out? Thank you so much. Okay. Right, okay, that's a really interesting message. So body movement came out. Parenting and children and raising your standards. So I love this. I know what this means. What they're saying to me with this is that we all have to take responsibility moving forward for what we put out in the world. And what this going back into Capricorn is teaching us is to have self-respect and to take responsibility for our own inner authority, but also to not over-identify with social status and reputation as who we are. If we hold ourselves in high esteem and self-respect, we're able to self-parent. You know, we're not victims, we're not errant children who are not connected to our inner child, if that makes sense. So if you ever do any inner child work, a big part of it is learning to self-parent, and it's learning to work with your inner child, not against your inner child. Because what will happen is if you don't listen to your inner child, and it's all archetypal, but if you do recovery work, it's all linked to this. I'm just seeing what else is coming from these cards. Okay. Okay, so also for a lot of people that have been affected by this global situation that we've all been through on such a, you know, a deep level, everybody's been affected, is that during this Mercury retrograde, there are going to be solutions and options and doorways opening for you. There's a message here. Body movement, moving forward. This is again can be a physical move. Again, the higher consciousness cards at the top of the pack. So this is going to be an upgrade in how we think. What do we think is possible? So again, we might go back into that authoritarian Capricorn energy to see where our link to how we think things have to be is going to hold us back. So our opinions and our reasoning about what's possible for us in Capricorn, we're going to go back in and we're going to review that, and we're going to go, actually now I need to look at a process. Might be I'm not going to even say what it is, but there might be something there for you. There's some lead that can be turned into gold, and it's a personal process, because the vacation card has come out with financial flow. So I'm seeing this as, you know, these are people that are worried about the economic effect on their families and themselves, because they might feel that their business has changed, the business model has changed. And again, with Uranus now moving forward in Taurus, we are going to see some shifts in the economy, but we're also going to see what we value change. I might just pull a card on that as well, because the vacation card for me symbolises freedom and upliftment, but the financial flow is exactly what it is. It's about abundance. So it could be that you could be freed up from situations that were holding you back, but you couldn't physically see it because you were in survival mode, which is absolutely fine. And I am really aware when I say this, and again, when I deliver messages, guys, I am very aware that we're not all in the same situation. I know this. But my message here is always going to be of hope. I'm always going to bring in the spiritual perspective to empower you, to mirror back to you who you really are. And the reason that I do this, and I'm just going to keep this short, is over the years, I have seen all of this unfold for my clients, that they have listened to their own guidance and they've followed it. And the stuff that they have created and manifest, even in the most horrendous of situations when they first walk through that door, is quite prolific actually. But then this is what always keeps me going, I suppose, is it and I'm not here to convince you. I will stand by the work, and the work has proven to me afterwards, when somebody sends me a message 3 years later and they'll show me like their new website and what they're doing, or that they're on the radio, on the TV, and I just think, you know, Spirit had guided them with this. They'd come in and they were really open about it. And it's like, it's really amazing, but it's so lovely to see people do well, because you get to participate in their abundance along the way. You're not responsible for it, but you were part of their journey. I'll always say it to the day that I go up there, is that it's a privilege. It really is. Financial flow and vacation, right? So this Mercury retrograde is going to give some people who are worrying about money, they're worrying about restrictions, they're worrying about, is that there's going to be the door, the light cracking in. So when many of us are bringing these messages of hope, honestly, I just want to say this to any of you that are really in that place where it's very repressive, is I have full respect for you, but I am also supporting you, because the cracks are coming out, and this is what my last video was about. I know afterwards I watched it, I thought, oh my god, I think that was a bit severe, but I thought, no, I stand by it, because Spirit want me to be that lighthouse and bring messages of hope. It's what I've been doing throughout the whole pandemic. Everything that they've told me about the origins and everything, it's been spot on. And it's now starting, the proof is starting to come out. It's what they do, like they do in a reading. Right, let's get on this Uranus in Taurus. What do you want to tell us about that? They want a different pack because it's different energy. I'm going to do the tarot for this. I got the tarot out this morning. I just wanted... They're really good when you want, like, physical, like, right down on the earth, like... explanations, so like the day-to-day. Right, so judgment. So this is news coming in. Uranus in Taurus, yeah, this is going to be information coming in, especially as it moves forward in a Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrogrades are always going to enlighten us with information. Mercury is the messenger, it's the communicator. So this is Uranus in Taurus. What else do you want to tell us? Queen of Wands. This is a collective message, please, Spirit. 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8 of Pentacles. So I think that's to do with learning and new jobs, actually. I will check that card though, because some of these tarot cards, they've just got trees on them, and I'm still kind of getting to grips with these ones. I'm not naturally affiliated with these cards, but I do love them. So, Uranus in Taurus moving forward, please, Spirit. Uranus in Taurus collectively. New beginnings in the King of Wands. Yeah. 9 of Swords. 10 of Cups. Right, okay. Page of Wands. I will go through all these with you. Knight of Swords coming in, and, okay. This is like what the energy, these cards represent the energy of what I've been feeling around this. Oh, can't have all of those. Right, okay. 2 of Swords. It's bringing in balance. Yeah. 5, 6, 7, 8 of Cups. Okay, what's this bit about, please? The Judgment, the Queen of Wands, and the 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of... All right, okay. Receptivity. Right, okay, so let's just go with it. Let's go with the flow, guys. Right, so the Hanged Man flew out, but they asked me to put this in the left like the past. So the Hanged Man is all about being suspended, everything's on hold, but we also get to see a different view of everything, topsy-turvy. But they're also saying to me, this is like the energy of the start of the year. Things are in suspension. However, we now move into what I think is where we're at now. So I've got the Judgment card, and then I've also got next to this the King of Cups. So first of all, I'll tell you what I got first of all. So I got the Judgment card, followed by the Queen of Wands, and then the 8 of Pentacles. So the 8 of Pentacles is learning. It's patient effort towards a long-term goal. It can be education, the gaining of a certification. It can be whatever we're learning can be turned into profitable ends. It can be about working for future rewards, and it can be a new job. But what I'm hearing with this is it can be sped up as fast as you want it to, because the Judgment card next to anything else always speeds up the time scale around the other cards. But what Spirit is saying with this, because I asked them, well, what do you mean by this? And then all these other cards came out. So it's about it's quite interesting, because it's like the polar, and I think the nodal axis of the planets as well is changing, which I need to look at. That's another video. Right. So around this, the Queen of Wands is the feminine taking action, but the masculine being receptive, because the King of Cups. So this is a little bit like the opposite way around, because you'd expect the masculine, it's always about energy, it's not gender, is the masculine is asking to be called to listen. So the masculine, instead of going like just going gung-ho and going out there, is just be receptive, like tune in. And the feminine is asking to do the actual action, because wands are all about taking action. So again, if I interpreted this for somebody else, it could be that there is a new role or a new job or a new business coming for some people, because there's wands here with the Eight of Pentacles. So it's about our earthly support. And it could be that it could be working in an environment where it's much more progressive. So the feminine and the masculine aspects are in a different balance. Not different balance, sorry. They're in balance, but in a different way. So it could be that you are working for a person who's masculine, but is very receptive. So they're divine masculine. And the feminine aspect is much more at the forefront. So the Queen of Wands is there. So they're saying there's a dynamic here shifting for a lot of people, not only in their workplaces, but within themselves, about what they want when it comes to career and finances. So again, I actually heard somebody say about this recently, about how he's taking his money out of one bank and he's putting it somewhere else. And this is so weird, because Spirit said to me recently, I had this vision about walking into this place and opening up a setup with them. And because the dynamics, the energy behind the institution and the organisation is more community orientated, or it's got more longevity behind it, it's got good values, so if we think about the Judgment card, it's about new opportunities, it's about new projects, and it's also about decisions that can affect the rest of your life. It can be career success as well. And also with the Eight of Pentacles here again, for some people, there's going to be, during this period now going into February, there's going to be a shift happening with work. They did say this, didn't they, in the collective 2022. And again, this came upright. Wonderful. Now, this is where it gets even more consolidated, because we've got the Fool and we've got the King of Wands. So there's going to be... So I feel like the King of Cups and the Queen of Wands is like, well, I'm thinking about it here. I'm thinking about taking action. The offer hasn't yet come in. Or it might be approaching, but it's not in my physicality at the moment. I'm just getting an inkling, I'm getting a sense. This is the King of Cups. This is somebody very, very in tune. So Cups is always the water signs, Scorpio, Cancer and Pisces, right? So we've got new beginnings here, and we've got the King of Wands. So this is like, the King of Wands is like, I know what I need to do and I'm just going to do it. Okay. This is somebody who has the inner authority, they've got their inner authority, and they are not worried about what anybody else thinks. They just know what they need to do, and they're just going to get on and do it. That's the energy with that card. So that's the new beginning coming. I feel like this is around Uranus in Taurus. So this is as we come out of the retrograde period. I think this is what this is showing me with all these planetary shifts. These opportunities are going to present. This is like new beginnings. This is what I've asked for. Movement ahead. Now, what was interesting was the Nine of Swords came out, and then it was followed by the Ten of Cups. So, and it's interesting because I got this, not these cards, but I got different cards for myself this morning. What Spirit said to me, there was like what could be perceived as a positive and a negative card. And what they said to me is it's the end of this. It's the end of that cycle. But again, it's about taking the new beginning. The new beginning isn't doing what we used to do. It's doing it in a different way. Now, the Nine of Swords is about cruelty, but it can also mean about anxiety. It's about suffering. It can be like guilt and self-punishment. It can be like, oh, you know, everything just going wrong, sleepless nights. It can be spite and slander. It can be the undermining of confidence. But you see, we've got the Ten of Cups here, which is literally the card of fulfillment. So I would say that the King of Wands is taking charge here, and he's saying no to this and he's saying yes to this. And then this is followed by the Page of Wands, which is, again, it's learning in the areas of creativity. But also, like I would always say, like with pages, it's always about young people. But if you see here, he's got a scroll in his... what I'm hearing with this is it's around contracts, actually. They're saying to me that this in his hand is a contract. It's like somebody coming to deliver a new contract. And what's interesting is the Knight of Swords is around this. So the Knight is, I always think like the Knights are messengers, but they come in and they leave as fast as they go out. Sorry, that I said that the wrong way around. They leave as fast as they come in. So again, it's very much, I'm just going to go with what I'm getting with these cards, which is it's the quick delivery coming out of the blue. And it's interesting because around my own cards, I got the Knight of Wands. Now, I wouldn't want that if that was a romantic relationship read, because the Knight of Wands is somebody who just is not got any staying power. But when it comes to news and information coming in, you'd want them there because it's going to come in quick. Let's get on with it. And then the Three of Cups, so it's something good. The Three of Cups is celebrations, it's congratulations, it's the coming together of three elements. I mean, this could be a reunion. It's the card of happiness, this. It's also, it can be attendance at weddings or christenings. It can indicate pregnancy or birth. So again, you make of it what you will in your own life. Now, what's interesting around this as well is the Two of Swords, which for me is always the card of, it's like balancing things out. So it's like we cut out the crap, which is all of this nonsense. See, I like swords. I don't see cards as good and bad. I just see them as, well, what am I going to do with these? This can be, you know, having friends at a time of adversity. It can be a balance between two equally matched opponents. It can be a duel fought with words as well. But I'm just going to say that this card for me is saying that the balance is coming in with this new beginning, whatever it is. Again, it's a collective read, guys, so I can't be too subjective on it because I don't want to limit it. I want you to be able to look at this for yourself and go, right, I can see where this is fitting in with my own life. And then you've got the Eight of Cups, which is the seeking card. And this is about not being afraid to leave the past behind. So the outcome here is very much about leaving the past behind. The new beginning, which is at the beginning, and the end is saying, well, you've let the past behind, and that's what your new beginning is all about. And this is about following your heart. It's about travel. I'm going to see if they're just saying there's another card around that. The Eight of Cups. Anything else around that, guys? And then I think we're nearly done, aren't we? Yeah. Page of Cups, new emotions. It's bringing in a new emotional cycle. The Wheel of Fortune is there, saying the wheel is turning. So whatever's coming up around this Mercury retrograde that is you're going to be enlightened with, whether you perceive it as good or bad. We don't have a Tower card here. We've just got this switch in energy. But again, it's very much about being willing to accept change. And the Empress card is there, which is always about harvest. It's always about, the Empress is very much a Taurus or a Libra in energy. So it's all about the fruits of your labour, but being very, it's the divine feminine this. It's about being very in touch with your divine feminine. and the World. So this is closing off of a cycle, and like this is a closing off of a massive cycle for some people, a massive cycle. So to have the Wheel of Fortune on the top of the cards, sorry, the bottom of the pack, what's at the top, the Queen of Pentacles, which for me really corresponds with the Empress, the different energies. The Queen of Pentacles, she's very much like, she's, you know, she builds a community or a foundation that's for everybody. She shows people how to get the job done, but in a very eloquent, in an authoritative way. The World. So the World card, again, depending on which wheel of the cycle that you're on, and again, what Spirit is saying, for some people, this will feel like an energetic shift, and then the physical shift will come afterwards. So if you are like, you listen to this and you're like, oh, you know, it's going to come, guys, but it might be a few weeks, up to 8 to 12 weeks after you've gone through this physical shift. So, say like you are signing divorce papers, which could come up in this Mercury retrograde. It's finally time to consolidate this. It might mean that then what you're guided to do after this is take a proper breathing rest. And then after that period of rest, it will actually speed up your manifestation of what you're asking for. I've really learned this lesson with Spirit. They're trying to get me to rest and rest and rest. And then I just surrendered. And actually what I found is in the rest, you actually get all your information coming in because you're in a place of stability and you're replenishing your energy. So your intuition really grows in strength. Yes, so the World, you know, it's the completion of a cycle, isn't it? It's triumph, it's rewards of labour and success. It's the end of the cycle and start of another. And they always say like it's one of the best cards in the pack, but you know what? I think the Wheel of Fortune often is. I mean, we've all got different ones. And then to have the Empress as well, guys. So these are fruitful new beginnings, but we will be asked to shift. We will be asked to shift. And it can happen as fast as you want it to because the Judgment card is there. So after a period of what's felt like suspension, now I know people are in different countries, but what I would say is embrace the energies of others that you're seeing in a different country to you, where maybe it's not as restrictive, because what it's doing is it's setting the precedent. And one thing I've really wanted to share about the UK and the energy, because again, it's all free, isn't it? It's a massive message for hope that the UK is setting a precedent that some countries, people start to go, well, they're doing it there. Well, why don't we do it? It's like the light is cracking through, and we really need to hold on to this and latch onto it and bring in that light so it's infectious with hope, because that's what people need around the world right now. And I won't stop giving you messages of hope. When I need to replenish, I tend to go off and I'll come back on, because that's what your job as a light worker is. It's not about spreading doom and gloom. And there's always going to be plenty of that in the world. It's always going to exist. But it's whether do we associate and relate to that and become part of that and spread that, or do we really stand in our sovereign power and light and say, actually, this is what we are going to mirror and reflect back onto another. And that's what true power is, guys. That's what true power is. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I know another bit of a long video here, but I really wanted to share some messages with this Mercury retrograde. But obviously it's turned into a bit of a message about potential shifts that are on the horizon. And what Spirit is saying is that the timeline will be different depending on where you are and where you're at. Not because you're doing anything wrong. We all, on some level, signed up to be where we're at. There's no mistake where you are and what you're doing. And if you are really struggling, please ask them for help. Please ask them to bring more light into your life. And just keep listening to your intuition. It won't let you down. The Empress card is there acknowledging that. the reason the Empress is because she listened to her intuition. That's the secret of the Empress. The power of 3 as well. There's some link here to the magic number of 3. Right, guys, I'm going to go, and I will see you whenever I see you. Lots and lots of love.